I'm scared for my life, but I want people to know that I'm not going to back down.
The director of the Central American Soccer League agreed to talk with Fox 4 only if we hid her face and real name. She says she's already been threatened for asking questions about Billy Bowlegs Park, the facility where her teams used to practice. They were recently told to move to Jay Stevens Park at a cost of close to $800 each weekend.
I would like to see the city to get some answer what's really going on.
So I went looking for those answers and found more questions in the funding. A Fort Myers City spokesperson tells me the city started planning a revitalization of Billy Bowlegs Park in 2004. Funding requests for that revitalization started hitting the city budget in fiscal years 2010 through 2017. Specifically, there was a $1.5 million capital project request to give Billy Bowlegs Park a, quote, complete facelift. The description goes on to say the soccer and ball field need leveling, new sod and irrigation. Also needed is a new pavilion, barbecue grills, an updated basketball court, and asphalt resurfacing. Then, in fiscal year of 2018, a project titled Athletic Field Improvements sets aside $2 million to Fort Myers Parks and Recreation. $1.9 million, or 95%, went to Billy Bowlegs Park. Parks and Recreation manages 34 other parks in the city.
So I'm in supportive of a park on the east side of town, but there's been some talk that I totally don't know all of the details about some improprieties that I think we need to clear up.
The original contract for improving Billy Bowlegs Park was approved in April of 2018 at just over $500,000. But increases started stacking up just a few months later. $760,000 in May, $619,000 in July, $91,000 more in October, for a total of just about $1.9 million.
But look at the date on this purchase order closely. This authorizes the $91,000 for a regulation tournament-sized football field starting in December of 2017.
But forget all that. Plans were in motion actually a month before that. And City Council approved the cost for improving Billy Bowlegs Park nearly a year later.
Billy Bowlegs is now home to Pop Warner football team, the Firecats. The team signed with the city of Fort Myers less than a year ago. But according to their Facebook, they've been calling Billy Bowlegs Park home since 2016. Councilwoman Teresa Watkins Brown, whose ward Billy Bowlegs Park belongs to, spoke up at a recent public input meeting at the park, saying she sees it as a positive.
I noticed how the parents and everybody are happy about coming to all of the programs that has been established, from the Stars Complex on Edison to the extension of Billy Bowlegs.
Others, like Councilman Johnny Streets, wants to make sure the city is getting its due.
What if there is a dominant organization that's just kind of what they want, they get?
Well, I would like to know what kind of contract do they have with the city, and is there any monies being paid for the use of the services? Because I would sure think that there should be some kind of funding coming back to the city to pay for the improvements.
The Firecats pays $180 a month for the use of the field, and the field improvements may not be the only benefit for the Firecats. The city recently received an invoice for $4,000 for custom red helmets, the main color of the Firecats.
I got a hold of the contract between the Pop Warner football team and the city. The city's not responsible for buying the Firecats helmets.
The invoice is addressed to Amber Smith, the interim director of Stars Complex since 2017. That invoice is also to the attention of Riley Ware, who is not an employee with the city of Fort Myers. He is the president of the Firecats and also happened to be the fiancé, now husband, of Miss Smith. Amber is also listed as vice president of the Peace River Pop Warner Football League, in which the Firecats play in.
Whatever we can do to clear the air and clean this up and have our employees, because there's some issues out there. I understand where you're coming from. I can't go to them right now, but I've heard some things in the atmosphere. So I think at least this is a good start to say, well, what's really going on here?
Since I started digging into the Billy Bowlegs spending, what remains unclear is who really is in charge of Billy Bowlegs Park, Recreation or Amber Smith Ware?
There is an application process. That application process goes through the Recreation Department. It is administered, and at some point the center manager will be engaged to have the actual program, timing, that sort of stuff. But there is an application process. Has to be reviewed.
The center manager being Amber Smith-Ware. Amber and the director of Public Works, Richard Moulton, recently led that public input meeting at Billy Bowlegs Park. They declined my offer for one-on-one interviews. Employees for Parks and Rec were not there. I also requested an interview with Fort Myers City Manager Saeed Kazemi. He only vetted the answers to written questions sent to their public information officer. And I'm not the only one asking questions.
We are public servants, not perfect servants. But people still need to hold us accountable, and we need to hold the city manager accountable for his actions.
Well, after weeks of reaching out to the city of Fort Myers got back to me today to say that the Firecats did pay for the new helmets, although nothing like that, I looked again, is reflected in this invoice. Just last week, City Council approved increasing another purchase order by $128,000 in temporary labor services for programs at Stars Complex and Billy Bowlegs Park for fiscal year 2020. Councilmember Kevin Anderson has told me by phone that he would approve an independent audit for all departments for the city of Fort Myers.